morning, good afternoon, good evening. The latest regarding Blessed Mhlanga, the journalist who was arrested for doing his job, are here reporting, is that he has been denied bail. So he's going to spend some time in jail, God knows how long, as his case goes through the legal system, the courts in Zimbabwe. What is really disheartening is that the people of Zimbabwe have seen this happen when we were fighting for the country's independence. The white regime used to harass, arrest, torture, and even kill all those blacks who voiced, in some cases, their concern about the tyrannical oppression. And we are now seeing a repeat of the same situation. I just want to listen to what Blessed's lawyer had to say. This is Blessed reading from Blessed's letter from prison.
Asked me to read out on his behalf. He says, I'm a man born of flesh and blood. I suffer from fear and pain. I'm a proud son of a war veteran. I'm a journalist in service of my fellow countrymen. My father did not fight for this. Over the last few days, I have learned my lesson. I have learned that freedom is not free. It comes at a cost, at times a painful one. I've learned that free speech, free talk, is not free, and therefore we must never stop at anything to achieve it. It must be achieved in our generation, not the next. It is clear to me that without us acting, we won't achieve anything. So act we must. I will take the lead. Therefore, I've instructed my lawyers to take action. I have learned that justice is a myth. It's only but a tool used by those in power to entrench themselves. At law school, Munyaradzi Gusai told me that you can never understand law fully unless you understand its origins, especially the colonial past. I fully agree, save to add that you will never fully understand it until it's applied to you unjustly and with impunity by the social elites. There's a mile of difference between writing about injustice and experiencing it. My friends, I now have the benefit of both. Al-Maduku says law is law because it's law, just or unjust. My experience teaches me that an unjust law is no law. It's oppression disguised as law. Dear friends, prison is meant to break you. It is meant to change you. I have learned quite to the contrary. Prison makes you stronger and more resolute. I am stronger and I identify with you more than ever before. They say, when you are arrested, you are alone. That's not true. I was never alone. Your voices were with me. I stood proud in the dark hours. My wife and family were with me. I thank you. To those behind my persecution, including a prosecution aiding and abetting injustice, I wish to say the sun will set. It won't last forever.
Well, the tragic reality is this could have been read a statement from any of the liberation war heroes when we were fighting to end white colonial rule. The injustice did not end. Independence did not deliver the freedoms and rights and human dignities to the blacks. And this is the reason why we are here. And the question has got to be asked, why? Why did we fail to deliver what we're fighting for during white colonial rule? Benjamin.
Good day to you and good day to our viewers. Thank you for joining us. You know, the first thing that, comes to mind when I listen and I see what is going on in Zimbabwe is a press conference that was, addressed by Chris Mhlanga. And he had, he spoke very, very clearly that Zanu PF disregards the law. And he stated that we will arrest anyone, irregardless you are guilty or not guilty, or the claim is frivolous or not. They will arrest you. In fact, he goes on to say, we will arrest you for a crime that we think you will commit in the future. And they will deny you bail. And in a previous, program that we had, I think it was yesterday or the day before, I spoke and I said, they will not give him bail until the situation dies down. Zanu PF is no longer hiding behind the finger. Zanu PF is coming point blank and telling us that they will do as they please. We are at a point where it is now up to us to put our house in order. To answer your question, the only way we can fix this, and the only way out of this, has been said by all international observers. I've always said this, has been said by all international observers. You need to fix the system. The system is flawed, is illegal. Those are the words that they used. That is the only way to fix it. Unless we are saying they are all crazy and we are fine, then they will let us be and we will wallow in the mud, just like what we are doing.
Well, to come back to 1980, why did we fail to deliver on the promises of freedom, human rights, justice for all Zimbabweans? I think the simple reason for it is Mugabe and his ruling elite had their eyes on power, and they wanted absolute power. And they were not going to allow anyone to stand in their way. And so in 1980, when the country was preparing for its first elections, which would have been a free vote for all Zimbabweans, Zanu PF made it very clear that if the party does not win the election, the Bush war would continue. And so the people of Zimbabwe were forced to vote to end the Bush war. And that's giving up their most fundamental right, the right to a meaningful say in the governance of the country. And having given that right in 1980, history will show that they never recovered. The people never recovered that right. up to today, because ZANU-PF, as soon as it got into power, it started consolidating its stranglehold on power and created the de facto one-party state that has ruled the country to this day. But we've got to be also honest with ourselves that it's now 45 years since independence. Surely there must have been many golden opportunities for the people of Zimbabwe to end the one-party state, to end ZANU-PF's stranglehold on power. So the next question we've got to answer is, why is it that we have failed to deliver to end the one-party state in 45 years?
You know, there's a piece of history that I would like to share. It's about World War II. So the American president, Roosevelt, he was planning a war and he was engaged in a war. But at the same time, he was planning life after the war. And then you find this is how we got the United Nations. So it makes me think to say we went into a war, but we did not have any plans how we were going to go beyond the war or life after the war. This is where Zimbabwe failed. And you were right there to say ZANU PF decided to say, if it is not us that are going to rule the roost, no one will. We will make life unbearable. It is better we start fighting amongst ourselves. And they have created that environment up to today that, you know, nothing except ZANU PF have got the, if I may use, the birthright to rule Zimbabwe, which of course is nonsense because they don't have that divine right. And who placed that divine right upon them? And unfortunately, you know, to get back to your question again, we now have a situation where we have an opposition that is settled to be second best or team B playing for team A. They have failed to deliver any meaningful change. In fact, they have abandoned change and now have decided to compete for the crumbs that fall off the table or a piece of the action at the table. This is where we are at now.
I totally agree with that. I think the truth of the matter is there were many golden opportunities to implement the democratic reforms and stop ZANU-PF, the ZANU-PF dictatorship. The golden opportunity, the best of those opportunities, was during the GNU of 2008 to 2013. MDC leaders sold out. Mugabe bribed them with the trappings of high office, and they forgot about implementing those democratic reforms. The other element that has resulted in us failing to end the ZANU-PF dictatorship in 45 years is the people themselves. It is unbelievable that even now, with the benefit of hindsight, millions of Zimbabweans out there have absolutely no idea what the GNU of 2008 to 2013 was all about. That the primary purpose of that GNU was to implement the democratic reforms to stop Zanu-PF rigging the elections. Much less that MDC leaders sold out. And when you are faced with such a pool of ignorant, naive, and gullible voters, you are in trouble. Because in 2023, even after being warned several times of the sheer futility of participating in flawed elections that are so flawed, so illegal, that the only logical thing was to stop participating. People of Zimbabwe participated. They were conned by Chamisa that he had plugged all the vote rigging loopholes, and they participated in their millions. Nearly 2 million Zimbabweans voted for Chamisa, according to the ZEC official results. And many people put probably an equal number of Zimbabweans in the diaspora who supported Chamisa in 2023 because they too believed the idiotic lie that he had plugged the vote rigging loopholes. Democracy demands that the electorate must be educated, knowledgeable, diligent in holding those in positions of power to account. Zimbabweans have shown again and again that they're none of these things. That's why they're so easily conned. So to come back to the question, we have failed to stop Zanu-PF rigging elections these last 45 years, and we've been caught up in this cycle of yesterday's liberators becoming today's oppressors for the last 45 years and counting, because Zanu-PF leaders themselves are greedy. The opposition have proved to be sellouts. And we, the electorate, have turned out to be incredibly naive, gullible, and easily conned. You want to give your closing remarks, Ben?
In closing, I think, since you have mentioned the 2008 as a grand opportunity for us to have ended this dictatorship, I must also add that 2023 elections presented this, another opportunity for us to end our wars. All international observers, including SADC, stated that the 2023 elections were flawed and were illegal. And they denied ZANU-PF legitimacy. Only for Triple C to go and take up seats and thus rubbishing what all the international observers had been saying. And then I would leave a question to each and every one of you. every time after elections, the Chamisa camp, they always complain about vote rigging, but they have never complained about the allocation of funds from participating in rigged elections. In fact, they've always fought for these funds. Why is it? Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. I would like to leave our listeners out there with this thought. Blessed Mhlanga clearly believes in the fight for justice, human rights, and human dignity. He says he's the son of a liberation war hero. And I totally agree with his sentiment that we must end this cycle of yesterday's liberators becoming today's oppressors in this generation. After 45 years of independence, we should not be fighting to be heard, to exercise our basic and fundamental rights. This should be the right of all citizens. And we should be discussing other things, like how to revive the economy. And yet here we are. We are fighting for basic freedom of expression and the right to be heard. Let's hope that we will give Blessed Mhlanga his wish and make this fight the last fight. We do not have to repeat this cycle. After 45 years in this day and age, we should know what constitutes free, fair, and credible elections. We should know that the basic fundamental rights like freedom of expression are to the benefit of us all, including those who are today in power. I sincerely hope that we really end this madness. We break this cycle of failed leaders becoming oppressors for the sake of hanging on to power. Thank you very much for those of you who were able to join us. I hope you'll be able to do so again tomorrow, same time, 6 o'clock UK time and 8 o'clock Zimbabwean time.